From day one, since I saw him, just a better mentality, a better body. I think just more confident. Obviously, when you're a rookie, especially a high draft pick, there's a level of high expectations. But also from a mental standpoint, especially when you look at from last year, this year, just from overthinking, overanalyzing, and not playing fast, he realized, Coach Carter, this is what I have to do. Just line up and go. And I said, that's what I've been trying to tell you for the past 6 months. So we always have that good relationship, and just we can laugh about it, but on the serious side, I just tell him, look, you are who you are. You have the skill set to be a difference maker. You have the skill set to be explosive off the ball and wreak havoc. Let's make it happen, and let's not waste any reps. So his whole mentality as far as being the best on the field each and every play, every game, and being a difference maker, that's his mindset. So he's in a great frame of mind right now.
When you say better body, what do you mean?
Better body, just as far as when you're a rookie, you just don't know as far as just eating right, how to take care of body, having a better regimen. When coming new into the game, and I experienced it as a rookie. I think at times you're just trying to find like, okay, how can I bulk up? How can I bulk up maybe in a faster, efficient way, but it's not good for you? How do I go about flexibility? Well, what may work for one person may not work for another. So overall, he has just a good system built for him and his skill set and his dynamics and how he's built. And it's trial and error. It's trial and error through every player. But now he finally sat down with the right people, especially with our strength coaches in our department, and just write it down and say, hey, Monday, this is what we're doing. Tuesday, this is what we're doing. So it's segmented and regimented for him in his development. So it's been good now.
What did he do down in Alabama, and who did he work with?
Don't know the name what he did in Alabama, but I know he did a lot of change of direction. I know just more from a defensive line standpoint, more bags. I feel like he's more limber in that department as far as turning the corner, being the edge. He's just leaner from a body fat standpoint. He still had that explosiveness, but now more so from last year to this year, he's really coming up. And so like I said, he just has a new positive outlook as far as coming in the year two. I told him, look, as long as you excel and step your game up each and every year, it's a starting point. And he believes and he sees it on film, and we critique him as well as everybody else. And it's coming on strong. One thing I like about him is he's constantly continue to ask questions. Continue to ask questions about his development, continue to ask questions about the game, continue to ask questions about, hey, what's the offense doing? If the offense does this, do I do this? And that shows a level of maturity and growth as a player.
Andre, there's a lot of areas of this team that have a lot of new players in it, but your group is pretty much the same from last year, a lot of the same guys. How much will they benefit from year two in the system?
I've always been a believer that continuity is key. And continuity, not so much what these guys have done on the field, but continuity is what they do off the field. Like I said, I'm always a big believer in brotherhood. So when you have a close-knit group, they know when it comes to practice and games and meetings, they know how to feed off each other, know how to work with each other and get the job done. So that's always important. So when you don't have that too much turnover in a building or a meeting room or just a room in general, it's kind of like as a defensive line coach, you kind of start from scratch. That's not the case, especially with this group. So, we share the same terminology, we breathe the same air, mask or no mask on, far apart. But there's a strong connection, and that's good, and that builds a strong foundation as far as our room.
What do you think needs to happen in order to improve pass rush production from the front four this year?
I think this is a good question. For us in any scheme, obviously and this is like I say, I go back to my experiences and experiences of other players. Especially when it comes to the new defensive coordinators. So as a player in general, one, you're trying to learn the scheme. Right? You have that understanding. You're trying to learn the scheme. You're trying to build a foundation of like, okay, this is what my defensive coordinator wants. This is what my position coach wants. All right, I'm trying to build off that and find the right fit. So obviously, from a pass rush production standpoint, we weren't there where we need to be. Now coming to year two, now the level of comfort and understanding, this is how things work. Now we get into the mindset of, hey, now we can rock and roll. Now you know the man next to you more so to where I can get off, I can work off each other, understanding situations down the distance as a coach. You provide that more of that information. So it's a positive cycle from coach to player to coach. Like I said, from the guys that are in our room when it comes to Jenkins, Bash, Jordan Willis, John Franklin Myers, the guys, those particular individuals have continued to work hard as far as their pass rush, because they know at the end of the day, look, we stopped the run, all right, good, but that's not good enough. We have to get after the passion. And so that's what they've been doing from a skill development standpoint during the offseason, and it's been shown.
What does John Franklin Myers bring to the table? He came in early last year off waivers and then got hurt. We didn't see much of him.
John is a unique individual where he provides a lot of depth. I've never seen a guy of his size be able to stand up in a two-point stance and explode off the ball and be efficient, going against offensive tackles. And then again, with that same body frame, come down on the inside and rush against the guards. So when you have a particular player with that skill set, you can create a lot of mismatches. You can continue to create packages for him to where he can be efficient. He has a natural desire for pass rush, obviously. He's strong, he's long, he's explosive. And he's another guy like Quinnen who's continue asking questions and throughout the game. As you know, he came from the Rams, so obviously everybody knows Aaron Donald. So he learned a lot. Not saying you would be that Aaron Donald type of player, but when you're around that type of player, you tend to pick up certain skill sets that can help develop your game, and that you can just tell during practices that transitions into his skill. So it's been good to have him in the room and see him continue to grow day by day.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Andre, Kyle Phillips was a guy who moved around a lot last year due to the injuries you guys had inside and outside. What do you see as his natural position, and what did he show you last year as an undrafted rookie?
Kyle was one of those guys that impressed me, probably one of the top guys that impressed me the most. I mean, I should take that back. Every player obviously impressed me the most, but with Kyle being an undrafted free agent, he's just a guy that was just so mature for his age. He's one of those players, if he wanted to, and has a desire to, and I hope he does, can play 10 years. And it's just from just working hard. He's just the old school, hey, I'm bringing my paper bag to lunch and I'm working. And so with him, I see him truly as a defensive end, but he has enough bulk to play three technique from time to time. He has enough bulk to play in various packages where he's smart and can get them lined up and, hey, this is what I need you to do. He's like, that's it, I got it. So he's the least of my worries. And he's definitely one of those players that you enjoy just having in the room because he asks pretty intelligent questions for a player. So I enjoyed having him.
How far behind is Jabari falling, missing this time with the quad injury?
Well, I think with anybody, whether it's rookie or vet, when you're not on the field and trying to understand the scheme and how the dynamics work within the scheme, it's always tough. But he's taking it day by day. It is what it is. We as a coach and as a staff, we just got to continue to hone in on him and make sure that he's right when he comes back on the field. Now we can give him the mental reps, but obviously on set hut, the mental reps and the physical reps, they kind of outweigh each other. And obviously, especially when it comes to defensive line or any position, definitely defensive line, you learn definitely about trial by error. So we're just waiting for him to come back. Like I said, we can't rush it. This is one of those day-to-day operations, but he's been has been pretty positive, and the guys in the room and the coaches in the room have just kind of hone him in and make sure he's good mentally and psychologically, because obviously, you're a rookie, you're a drafted rookie. The worst thing you ever want to do is not be on the field. And we totally understand that, but the game goes on. So it's our responsibility to make sure that his head is up high, and we'll find a way to work him in when it's time.
In what ways does continuity help you as a defensive line coach, getting a bunch of guys back last year to this year? is that a bigger boost for run defense or pass rush, or is it equal? Like, how does that help you coming into the season?
No, I don't think it's so much a bigger boost for run or pass defense. I think continuity. When you have continuity obviously means consistency. You and I both know, especially in this business, whether you're a coach or a player, the turnover is a year and a half. I always tell the guys this, especially for my purpose as a coach. I coach as if it's my last day on the job, because obviously nothing's ever promised. And I tell my players, you better play it like it's your last day on the job too, because you can get cut. So when we have that type of mentality, skies are the limit, and we continue just to grow and communicate. With that, what comes with that continuity, like that question you asked, is communication. We are very hard on ourselves. I have my players be hard on me, and they expect me to have the same way, because, like I said, the personality of the defensive line coach obviously falls in line with the defensive line and vice versa. So I call it kind of like the yin and yang. That's the aspect of this game. And when you have that and it's strong, then I say, hey, now we continue to excel and grow and move forward. Well, if we don't, then we all fall and we end up parting ways. So, but like I said, I hold a strong value, but I'm very thankful for having McClendon back in the room. McClendon is just, I call him the kind of last of the Mohicans. He's just kind of like that player that did play kind of in that era with prior to the rule changes and being around, dominant offensive linemen. But here's a guy that just fought tooth and nail to make a name for himself. And so his story is a testament of what it really takes to be an elite NFL player and to get double digits in the league, which is hard, because obviously you guys know the average average years of an NFL player is 2-3 years. So he surpassed that. And so for him, he's always pushing himself, his mind and his body, to be the best player. He's never content. And so the younger guys obviously feed on that, and it's a good thing to have. I always told them, I don't know what I'm going to do when that time comes. I always push them to say, hey, man, you got about 4 or 5 years on me. And he always laughs. I don't know about that, coach. And, we always joke and laugh, but I'm very thankful for him. And he's looking just as good as he did last year, if not better.
Thank you, everyone.
Wait, I got one more question for Coach, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So a few days ago, we were talking to Connor McGovern, and he said that, one of the biggest issues that young linemen have when they transition from college to the NFL is like those first 2 steps and how fast that happens. Was that an issue that you saw with Quinnen Williams last year? Like maybe the game was moving too fast for him and it's slowing down this year for him? Or what's your assessment of how that transition happened for him last season?
Good question. That's when me and Quinnen talked, he admitted he didn't feel like the game was faster. He just felt like, from a mental standpoint, that he was just thinking too much. And obviously, when you think too much, you're going to naturally take slow steps. When you overanalyze, you're going to naturally be slow to react. And he's like, hey, Coach, I learned something today. I was like, what's that? Just go. I'm like, well, about time. I told you that for freaking 4 or 5 months. And we can joke and laugh. And I said, don't get me wrong. He has shown flashes of good plays. And now it's like, okay, now let's continue to be consistent. But it starts in practice. And so he's been consistent since day one, since we kind of come back and come back as a collective, as a defensive line, as a team. And he's shown that. And now I'm seeing exponential growth as far as his development mentally and physically.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach.
Guys, no problem. Take care.